Today's video is about how one can spy on Iran with satellites. And as always, I would like to start with expressing my thanks to my subscribers. What you need to know is that size matters. Compare different images and if possible use more than one satellite. Today we will be looking at a port town, Bandar Abbas, and I will show you different military installations and other things that are of importance. The first image we start with, left side, and according to Israel this was a nuclear site that was used for testing. Also according to Israel the whole site was demolished. Now, I looked it up at Google and I could see it was still there, but the Google image was quite old. So I used Zoom Earth, and Zoom Earth had a pretty new image, and yes, one can see that it's demolished. This doesn't mean that what Israel said was correct, but it does mean that it is demolished, and it shows it's good to use two different satellites. Today we look at Bandar Abbas. It's a very big port site, and I will show you a little bit at the airport, show some air defense, show some housing, and also a little bit of the port. If you look at the arrow, you can see this is a tiny little part of the port, but then when we zoom in, we can see here we have 3 submarines, and here we have 2 more submarines. And now we have a look at the dry dock. This is the dry dock, and again here we have a submarine. Google Earth is so nice that you have a measuring tool, and the size of this submarine is 91 meters. Which makes it a kilo class submarine. And we can also see that there are several warships laying, and on the right side we see quite a lot of warships. Now we'll have a look at the housing. On the left side of the port is a quite big housing development, and what we see here is this unit is 14 by 10 meters, which makes it 140 square meters, quite nice, quite big. Here is a parking half roof for cars. It's quite hot, so it's nice to have your car in the shade. Here we can see a car, and here's a car, and here's a car, and this is most likely a supermarket. What we also can see is that this is the port area where the ships are, and people drive across here. The dust shows that they actually just go this way. On the left we have a picture of 2011, and there's absolutely nothing here. And then we have 2016. Here's the supermarket which I talked about. And here we have 2021. And we can see there is a bit more development here. And we can also see there is a new development of housing here. It is clearly a sign that the port is developing really a lot. And also here we can see a meeting building, office building for the port. Now I promised a little bit of air defense. If we go back to the first picture, there's a line arrow that says air defense. Here we can see the typical sand walls, and here, and this is a rocket, but it's difficult to see. Now if you go a little bit back in Google Earth, you can take different years. And if you do that, you can find out that this is a air defense rocket. So it's relatively easy. This is part of the airport. And here we have 3 small dots. If we go closer, we can see these are 3 helicopters. There are always at least 3 helicopters. If you jump years, or if you jump different satellites, you will see that usually there are 5. And we can also see the oil spots from the other 2. At the end of the airport, this is the airport, there is this parking area with what looks like vehicles. But again, if we go closer, it looks like, yeah, that could be a tank or something like that. However, what we then do is we measure it, and this is roughly 23 meters. Now a tank we know is 6-7 meters. A normal Sherman tank is 6 meters. This is 23 meters, so it's more likely to be an amphibious vehicle, which would make sense because it can drive straight into the water here. We can do a little bit more with satellites. since there has been sanctions the last couple of years, I looked at what does that actually mean for the vegetation in Iran. If we look up here, we have 2017, 18, 19 and 20, and we can see 20 is a lot more green than 17. There's a big area here that is developed, and that means that a lot more vegetables are produced. And the images come from Solar Earth. It's again another portal that gives access to Landsat satellites. And here we have that tiny little building in the port, you remember? Here the housing. This side is the housing. Here's the tiny building. Now what I did, I was going a few years back and then I took it from a different angle, and then you can see it's actually a 2 or 3 story building. I think it is a 3 story building. So this is where the command is housed.